What's up, kickbackers? This is Sabrina with my girl Sharika and our brother EB, inviting you to sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of The Kickback.
What's good, Kickback family? Hopefully you are having a beautiful day where you are. I can tell you that I'm not, because it is freezing in Florida, and I woke up and the weather was 53. And I know some people love this little nippy weather, and my word of wisdom and my advice that I have for you is there's a lot of places north of Florida that has this weather more often. You can gladly go there. One, because Florida is overcrowded. Two, Florida is super overcrowded. Like, it's way too many people here. People need to go back. I won't say go back to where they came from, because I don't know where people came from. But I know they got prices of houses looking crazy. Traffic be looking dumb. The development of houses being built in 2 days don't make no sense to me. Like, it's just too much going on. Like, every day I look, it's a new development on my commutes to and from work, and I'm just like, how did y'all already build this? Like this is crazy. And then you just see more people, and it's like, where are these people coming from? I thought people was, and I don't want to put it out there, but I thought people was having abortion. Like, how we got more people? I thought that was the narrative going around in the world. That people are having abortions. We ain't got no kids. This world is going in dumps. But I just see a lot of people migrating to Florida. Like, I thought people hated Florida. It's just so much. I'm just in the 50s, and that's how I feel when I get cold. I just go to rambling. But that's how I'm feeling. And I don't have a song for y'all. But Sharika, Sabrina, how are you guys doing? What's your temp like?
I got a song for you, EB. It's Jesus Take the Wheel.
Which is appropriate because EB's in his car.
I was just going to say, because one, if y'all hear EB in and out, it's because he's in the car, but he is true blue, faithful to the pod. He's still here with us. But also, he is obviously in a way. So Jesus Take the Wheel is my song for you, EB. Because now EB kicking me out of the state of Florida. I enjoying this weather. I love it. I'm having the time of my life with this nice, so cool weather. I had my little cute boots on yesterday. I love it. So
me too, friend. And I'm also a transplant to Florida. So I'm like, oh, EB said, go back home. That's funny, EB, because Sharika told me the other day she's noticed a lot of traffic even on Sundays now, which is surprising. Sunday's usually an easy day.
Mm-hmm.
Either people in the street or people going to church.
I don't know if they're going. I don't know where they going or what they doing, but they out here.
You know, people be knowing when they need Jesus. Then it's getting closer to Christmas time. They want to show their family they know what the reason for the season is. They want to get their gifts. They've been being naughty all year. Man, people play these games all the time.
EB's not lying, because when I was a young person in the church, like a month or so before Christmas, some of the young people we hadn't seen in a while, some of my peers would run it back because they know they get that gift that the Sunday school class would get. They get the gift from the young adult meeting. They like come and collect their gifts, and then when the warm weather comes, they out again. Or after our annual youth event, which at the time was called Youth Councils, they'd be peacing out. So
they fall and winter Christians.
There you go.
And then they out in the spring and the summer. They got the hot spring, hot summer vibes going. Well, my temp is good. It's good because I am enjoying this weather. So I'm gonna say my temp is 71. Because it is, nice and cool here. It's supposed to start to warm back up, so I am a little disappointed about that. We had yesterday was cool and today's cool, but by tomorrow's we'll be right back in the 80s up over here in Florida. But where EB's going is probably going to be a little cooler than that, because he's going a little north. So hope you got your little Parker, EB, because I know you be cold. Do I got a song? Oh, I do have a song. It was on my recommend last week. It was on the album, but I have been consistently jamming to that's terrible. I literally was singing the song and now I can't think of the name, and I butchered it last week too. Wrong About You. Here we go. That's the name of the song. That is my song, and that's what I'm jamming to. Wrong About You, Israel New Breed. That's my song, and that's what I feel like today.
All right, Sharika, you and Pastor Steve Furtick have this same recommend. Y'all are on the same wavelength. I was checking out his sermon from this past week, and Israel was there on the stage. He was leading the musical praise and worship, and he was doing songs from the album. And they're like, check out the album. It's great. And I was like, oh, Sharika, Sharika put me on before you guys did. So thank you for that, friend. And I will be diving in. My temp is still perfect, wonderful fall. I love a good 65, and it's very rare that we get that in this area. So I'm just feeling awesome. I'm feeling great. I'm with Sharika. I'm kind of sad that we're going to be like so hot again because I'm taking advantage, even though I'm just at home all day, of wearing my little sweater when I go on my walk and wearing my little boots, because when's the next time I'm going to get to wear them? I don't know. My song, I'm staying with like my anniversary vibe, is You Are the Best Thing. That was our exit song, and I love when that song opens with the brass, the dun 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 dun. So shout out to my old coworkers who made that sound awesome. And he just says it over and over, you're the best thing. And that's how I feel about my spouse, my partner, one of my best friends, my husband. And that's how I feel about this season. You're the best thing.
Oh, I love that you be consistent. You be remembering your old themes because my memory is trash, and I would have forgot that I was on the theme. So I always love when you be like, "Oh, I'm on my theme," and another love song. I love that for you, friend.
Well, it's easy because it's my anniversary month and it's like the start of my favorite season. So you know how it is just around that time. You always love your spouse, right? But something about the anniversary month, it's just like, oh, and just throughout the month, it just keeps going. And it's just a lot of reminiscing and a lot of fun.
EB got a few weeks, and then it'll be his anniversary month.
I know, and I can't wait to hear about it because we know EB never disappoints.
Very true. But someone that does disappoint quite often. We told y'all we were going to be on a Kanye watch. We thought we were going to be off the Kanye watch, but you know, Kanye don't let up, so I guess we can't either. I don't know if y'all have been, and by y'all I mean the listeners. I don't know if y'all been on the Twitters, the Gram, any of the things, the interwebs, and have heard the recent Kanye shenanigans. And I mean, we'll talk about Kanye, but I also want to talk to you about what you guys think about is personal responsibility or responsibility of those who have certain platforms or spaces where people can come. So the other day, Kanye was on a podcast called Drink Champs. And in true Kanye fashion, Kanye was going off about all kinds of things, saying anti-Semitic remarks, saying lies about George Floyd and his death. And people were up in arms, outraged as they should be. And at this point, George Floyd's family is planning to file suit, not for defamation, because you can't file suit of defamation of character for a person who is deceased, but they are trying to file some kind of formal suit against Kanye for the lies that he spread or shared or voiced on the podcast. So I'll stop there for now and ask Evie, Sabrina, do y'all have any comments or thoughts? Surprised, not surprised? What are y'all thinking?
I guess we're having a moment of silence for Kanye. I listen to this podcast and they do this hilarious thing of putting certain celebrities on the sick and shut-in list. And I've
Mm.
only heard that in reference to like people in church on the prayer list who
Mm-hmm.
like they can no longer be present. So you're like, oh, they're sick and shut in. We'll just remember them in prayer, but it's kind of like the end of it. But in this podcast, they do it in the way of like, we're just not talking about this particular celebrity anymore because clearly they're sick and they need to be shut in and just like, it's exhausting. I personally haven't even dove into his recent comments. And I don't know if it's because I don't want to say I'm tired because I don't think I was ever invested enough to get tired. I think I just simply don't care. I feel like it's one of those things when a person shows you who they are, believe them. And
Mm-hmm.
he's not, and I think I've talked about this before, he's not someone, well, there's zero celebrity, unless it's Jesus Christ, that I have ever been like die hard to the point where I'm like changing things in my life based off of what they said. The things that I change and the actions that are impacting in my life are really based on the Bible and like people who are close to me. Like when I say close, in close proximity of my life, like, oh,
Mm.
I had this supervisor and this supervisor instilled these values in me because I saw them live it out and now I'm making this choice. But I've never done that based off of an artist just because they're popular. Even when I was a kid, I was very much the one who was like, okay, this person's a supposed leader of the group. I guess I'm in my own group because I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to follow, and I'm not going to like be thrown off kilter by something Kanye says. So I haven't really heard everything. And honestly, on social media, every time I see an article that has his name, I hide it and I report as spam because I'm like, I do the same thing to Candace Owens, honestly, because I'm like, but even doing that, I have seen certain like I saw the thing about Joyce Floyd. I saw the thing where him and Brandy's brother were at some event. I guess Candace has a documentary that's exposing the Black Lives Matter movement for being not the movement, the organization for their fraudulent activity. And in that documentary, she explores the details of George Floyd's autopsy, which shows he had, that drug in his system. But we all saw the video. That to me is a not a relevant point. He shouldn't have been on the homeboy's neck. And I'm interested in what actions the family will take against Candace. Obviously, Kanye, he has $1 billion. So if I'm going to go against somebody, I'm going to go against someone who has $1 billion because what is Candace really going to be able to pay me? But
who knows? She got money too. I think
oh,
she got.
I'm sure, but she's somebody I really try not to give the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
Are we surprised? No, but are we also not already aware that this is somebody who has manic episodes? And I don't know the details of his healthcare, and I don't want to just blame all the decisions that Kanye makes that are controversial and sometimes just straight up not, okay to speak on and just be like, oh, well, he, is mentally ill. Because that's not true. You can be mentally ill and still have respect for people. But I kind of feel like, why pour into this when we know this man goes into these episodes and starts to talk in circles? And my question for him and Candace is like, granted, he also went in on Jewish people and literally said something about going DEFCON 3 on them. But him and Candace, it's like, can we leave Black people alone for a little bit? And y'all go pick on somebody else? Like, do you...
Or just live your own life and leave people alone.
But in living your life...
do good.
That's true, but you are entitled to have an opinion, and I have opinion about certain things that in the privacy of my home and in the comfort of my friends and family, I do speak on them. So I don't want to say like, oh, as human beings, don't share like these I think it was last week I said friends with white people humor. There are people that would be like, how dare you? And what does white people humor mean? And what would you feel if I said Black people humor? I'd be like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Friday and all of it. It's great and it's funny. Death comedy. But I don't want to say he can't have an opinion. My thing is like it's harmful because you're speaking on people's lives and you're speaking as if things are facts. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, there are people, which is so hard for me to wrap my mind out, but there are people who take things that popular people and celebrities say as gold, as fact, as truth, and they're going to run with it. So it's like, are we being
Mm-hmm.
responsible? And I'm curious, like, so what is your motivation? So you say that, okay, so what's your end game? What's your final goal? And I feel like if we really dove into that with Kanye, when you're talking about slavery was a choice, and this thing's about George Floyd, and I can't remember the other things that were said, but okay, what now what? What's the action item, as we say a lot at work? Like, what's the action step?
Mm-hmm.
And if the action thing is like just degrading a whole population of people, if it's just to puff yourself up, then I'm like, pause, and let's not bring Jesus into it. Like, you as a person, let's really dive in to you as a person, and let's explore, hey, maybe I might be being trashed a little bit. EB, do you have any
I was
thoughts?
just gonna say, I don't know if EB's here with us or not.
Oh, he's here, but it's good that he's on mute in between, because I know for myself right now, I'm washing dishes, and as soon as I stop talking, I'm going to mute so I can run this water, wash these dishes.
Yeah, so for me, it's similar to what was said by Sabrina. I think it's part of it is just like it's Kanye. So it's like, what value do you give most of his words? Now, I also will say some of what he said was not necessarily false. And I say it wasn't false, where I'm not going to go through, like, those who identify as a Jew, or you have Jewish lineage. I would love to have a conversation with you offline about something like this, because I just love having conversation with people. But when he talks about the greed of certain individuals, when he talks about their hatred, when he talks about their gatekeeping of different industries, when he talks about their profiting off of certain industries that are highly, I guess you could say, are mostly dominated by people of African descent, and how they don't get a space at the table. A lot of those things aren't necessarily false. Now, tone and vernacular of communicating certain things can definitely come out as in a form of hatred. I don't think he said, "I hate Jews," because then if you also watch the whole thing, or people just put out certain tidbits, he'll also say that, like, Black people, we're the real Jews. Like, Jesus was a Jew. Jesus is Black. Like, that's part of our lineage. And you have other people who counter what he says and say, you're talking about yourself when you say these things. And then, he turns into Kanye mode, where he just gets stuck and don't know what to say because he ain't got the answer. Like, we all know he don't. But I'll also say, like, whether it be thematic episodes, whether it be the mental health, whether it be as one of my favorite journalists, or somebody who I follow or watch, like, I think it's just literally this one thing, and this person summed it up pretty well, where it says that Kanye is stuck on trying to seek validation from white people. Like, that's what he lives his life for, and that's why you won't necessarily see him do a lot of things on his own, and him seeking validation for a race who don't necessarily care about him until he goes to talking about them. Because when he does everything else, Kanye is not a bad guy, right? Like, Kanye just was on his all lives matter, all white lives matter vibe, and no Jewish people came to the defense of every other life. But then he said Jewish, like, he said some anti-Semitic statements, and then now it's like, oh, let's all get up in arms about Kanye and his Jewish statements. And, like, that's why I'm always big on the fake woke or the fake cancel culture. It's like, it's convenient when it's opposed to you, but when it's other people involved, people find ways to conveniently get silent during those cases. And so for me, like, it's Kanye. It is what it is. Kanye, like, I'm not seeking political advice from Kanye. I'm not seeking marriage advice. I'm not seeking parenting advice. Like, Kanye is not my guy in no way, shape, or form. I personally, EB, I enjoy his music. I can't necessarily say I enjoy his fashion. I've never bought a pair of Yeezys. I've never bought no Kanye clothes. Like, the only thing he's gotten from me is me streaming his music. But other than that, like, there's nothing that I'm seeking Kanye for if I'm looking towards something. And that's just for me. Now, I also would say, when Kanye say stuff, I won't necessarily say just take it with a grain of salt, but you could easily just mute it. Like, you don't even have to listen to it. Like, you know it's a good chance that what he says won't be, I guess, politically correct, so to speak. But this is also the same Kanye who, like, and we talk about it all the time, I'm going to run on stage and I'm going to just take somebody's moment. I'm going to get on news. They're going to ask me about the people at Hurricane Katrina, and I'm just going to tell the world that George Bush don't like black people. Like, so these episodes aren't new. This is the same thing that's been going on for over a decade. You're talking going on almost 2 decades of these same type of scenarios and situations. So definitely not shocked. Definitely not surprised. Yeah, it's Kanye, and there really isn't much else to say.
I would argue that Kanye don't like black people. Takes one to know one, Kanye. That's why you were able to say that. All the signs.
I was gonna say, I had sent Sabrina a YouTube link to this interview about somebody else that we've followed in the past via social media and things, and he's bipolar. And in that interview, he was talking about what his episodes look like, manic episodes and things like that, and it really was interesting to me. I've never personally dived into the the mental health space in regards to bipolar. So people who suffer with bipolar or what it looks like. So it was interesting to hear somebody who suffers with it, what different episodes can look like, whether it's a manic episode, whether it's a depressive episode, and different things like that, and that there's different because like like diabetes, there's diabetes you can be a diabetic 1 or 2, like there's different levels of bipolar, and I didn't realize that. But anyway, so it really, and like I don't know Kanye business like that, but a lot of this makes sense based on, like, as we've talked about his previous behavior, but hearing about this guy talk about his bipolar, how bipolar disease has affected his life, it makes me really see a lot of the similarities in some of the things that Kanye has done. And in regards to that, if you know someone is mentally unwell or unstable, well, we have a podcast. Obviously, we ain't getting Kanye or anybody like that. But for Drink Champs, do you think that they should not have interviewed him? Do you think that it's freedom of speech, they can do whatever they want to, but like, do you think that the fact that, hey, this person's unwell, they're not, the things that they have been saying, do you feel like they have a responsibility for what Kanye says on their platform?
What Kanye says on their platform, no, because overall you don't know what somebody will say. You can make an assumption, because we could have I'll use Birdman for example. You could have a Birdman incident where he could have just walked in and walked out, and he was like, oh, well, that was the whole interview. So like, you never know what the outcome will be until it actually happens. But me just knowing Drink Champs, me knowing Nori in the gang, like, this is what they do. Like, they love the controversy. They love the hot topics. Like, if you have a celebrity that you enjoy or you're interested in, just put their name in and put in Drink Champs to see if they've ever done an interview, and you'll see the type of questions that they ask individuals. Like, they bait certain situations. They hype up moments when somebody give a little nugget. They dig in for more in that. That's their interviewing style. So like, you can blame that on them because that's their personality, but it's their business. That's their brand. That's how they become who they are within, I would say, the community of podcasting and sharing information with celebrities, or sharing information with the world from celebrities, because that's just how I guess you could say that's the space that they operate in. And most people who go on their podcast or who watch them know that that's how they rock. So it's like one of those things, like, if you go into a gym, it's a good chance people will be playing basketball. If you go into a pool, it's a good chance there'll be water there and people will be swimming. Like, that's just, it's one of those things, that's what's going to happen. So going on that podcast, yes, you know that there's a good chance that some form of controversy will come out. And there are some people, when they found out Kanye was looking at doing a Drink Champs, people called them and say, I probably wouldn't do it because, like, look at what he's doing. And they still took it. So exactly. They took it with that, and they know what they're doing. Like, but they got a lovely amount of clicks. Their branding is still intact. People is still producing ads with them. People produce ads on that interview. So hey, they, like in the movie Taken, when the dude was after the girl got kidnapped, he was like, as long as my ex meets my Y and my family needs are met, then that's all I care about. And I'm pretty sure that's how a lot of celebrities are. Like they're gonna say or do whatever needs to be done, as long as their income and expenses is on point and their family is good.
I think the challenge is more so with society putting these expectations on celebrities. Guess what Kanye is? He's an artist, he's a performing artist, and he's a creative artist. That's it. Why are we going to him for political advice and these deep think pieces on society? You're not going to the cashier at Walmart just because he's popular. That's society's fault. I'm not, they were asking some of the young dancers from Dance Mom their thoughts on like Black Lives Matters. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to see how they pirouette. That is their bag. Stop getting people, I'm not going to tell anybody to stay in their lane because I think it was Evie who actually said this at first, but I agree. Like, I think it's great to explore different lanes, but let's not pretend like everybody's an expert on everything or that popular and rich people are wise. That equals wisdom. Because guess what? Maybe that's how we ended up with Donald Trump as president. It's just not true. Okay. So that's the number one. Number two, Drinks Champs. I've never seen it. I've heard the name before, but my assumption is that that is something for entertainment. If you're going there for anything more than that, then once again, I'm going to put the responsibility back on you. If you're going to a podcast called Drink Champs for anything more than the Kiki, okay, that's on you. Now, I will say, what's that white man with the ashy lips? Oh, God. Is he Tucker Carlson? Carlson, is that his last name? Tucker, whatever his last name is, on Fox. And the other one, he's in New York. His brother Como something. Maybe it was
Andrew Como, and the governor is Andrew, I think, and then the other one.
The one who wasn't as disgraced as his brother, because I saw a clip that Kanye was on that too. I do hold the news organizations more responsible because that is a different, you have a different goal. Drink Champs entertainment. News is not, well, it does become entertainment as well. But if you have him up there to talk about anything other than his fashion and his music, I'm not saying he can't have those other thoughts, of course, but that's not his expertise. The things y'all have him, now you're just pandering, right? And you're putting somebody up here to prevent facts about populations and people. Yes, I am sure they're very powerful Jewish people, but guess what? It's just as a human being who's an individual, one thing I've always hated more than anything else and when people try to put things about my personality onto the white race. One, because they usually try to put positive things, which is very effing annoying. And two, because you need to accept the fact that a Black girl can do all the things that Sabrina's going to do. Guess what? Because I'm Black and I was raised in a Black family with mainly Black neighbors. And you can't make yourself comfortable by just being like, oh, well, she's more white. No, F you. I'm Black because Black people can be this way. And Kanye, guess what? Jewish people can be lots of different ways. And that's the issue with saying, oh, well, the Jewish people, they're not. Some of those white people are going to be Jewish. Some of them are not. That's the reality. And you can't do that, Kanye, because when people turn around and do that to Black people, you're going to have an attitude. So let's not do it to anybody. I'm not saying.
Did you say he's not Black, he Kanye?
Well, whatever he wants to be. Okay. The reality
That's what I'm
is
saying.
When he was filling out his state test bubbles, he had to put African American. And when he filled out his driver's license, I'm sure it says African American and not Kanye. Okay. Yes, we're all human, but God was awesome and he created diversity and there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm sure with a lot of stereotypes, there's a foundation of truth, right? Like a lot of rappers tend to be Black. That is just a fact. But not all Black people are rappers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure, as somebody who is not wealthy and knows nothing about that world, maybe there's some truth to it because it's not the first time I've heard the rumor or heard the jokes. But hey, let the Jewish people live. Not all of them are a part of this little conspiracy that Kanye's talking about. Okay?
I agree. I was just, this is what I feel like. I don't think the podcast is responsible for what Kanye but you also are responsible for who you have on. And I've watched Drink Champs before. I didn't watch the Kanye episode, but I've watched Drink Champs before. But Nori, the one of the hosts of Drink Champs, for those of you who may not know, he was on the Breakfast Club, which we've referenced the Breakfast Club before, and he was basically like, "Oh, I agree with freedom of speech, but you know, and people in Charlemagne, which we've talked about before, said he told Nori that you should not have Kanye on there because you and Nori's response was, well, you know, people can say different things about people. Like he's like, people say things about you, Charlemagne, but if I've never had those experiences with you, then I don't go off of those things. I go off of my experience with you. So he's like, I've always had a great rapport with Kanye. So I didn't think Kanye was going to come up on here and say the things that he said. And I should have addressed them earlier and this, that, and the other, all the things. And I'm like, but maybe you never had a negative experience with him, Nori, but you've also seen what he's been on lately, and you've seen him publicly say things before in recent days, not a long time ago. You've seen those things. So maybe I don't know why you thought he would have this grand respect for you, that he wouldn't come up there with the same rigmarole that he been on, but he did. Because so that I feel like then you are responsible for who you have on there. What they say you don't know, but then like he wasn't acting as if though. And then when he was called out on it, like before it, like Evie was saying, they know who they have, they know the energy that comes there, and the questions that they have. They want the clicks, they want the likes, they want the ads, they want the money. But now when he's getting the backlash, all of a sudden it ain't all what he thought it was going to be, and now he's a little backpedaling a little bit, like, oh well, I didn't know he was going to do that, and I apologize for this, and I should have spoken up before, or and he was like, and I don't watch the interviews back, and I was drunk, so I was, I got a little drunk, so I wasn't really going on, wasn't really of sound mind to really anticipate or be able to articulate better what I should have said.
Wait a minute, Sharika, is the premise of Drink Champs to do interviews while you're drunk?
Yes, while you're drinking.
So yes. What are people upset about?
People are upset because
they're drunk. It alters your state of mind. Like, what the F? He didn't, once again, how come they're not bringing the same energy to these news organizations that do have a responsibility, who are sober, but they're bringing the energy to this podcast? Like, if I was that guy who interviewed him, I'd be like, whatever, you guys, enjoy it or delete it. But I wouldn't give any apologies, because guess what? You know what this is. We're up here drunk and we got Kanye. We did it for the Kanye-ness, and that's just it. Why are you apologizing?
Because he said, this is Drink Champs. We drink. He said that. So, but I'm just saying, I feel like if you're going to have Kanye, you got to be ready for all that's going to come with it. The good, the bad, the ugly. Because with Kanye is a polarizing character right now, and that's just how it is. Good, right, bad, ugly, or in between. So if you, like you said, Serena, if you're willing to have him up there, be ready to, just be like,
I would not apologize for anything. I'm like, yeah, and he Kanye'd. And it's hilarious. And thank you. You guys can thank us, because now we have even more Kanye quotes. Like, just own it. They knew it wasn't going to be no reading rainbow. You had him on a drunk. Well, I don't know if are the guests supposed to be drunk too, or just the hosts?
Everybody. There's drinks all over the table.
Oh my gosh, this is not even. Yeah, this is whatever.
Girl, they had Patti LaBelle up there. I watched that good long Patti LaBelle interview.
But this is what I'm saying. I can't believe that people are like going to them being like, oh, how could you do this? Like, it's Drink Champs. Like, what do you expect?
Well, I think more people are just like, well, some people feel like, Nori, you supposed to be part of you're our people. You say you care about our people. You're for the Black people. Why you have this man up here when you know this man has been coming and, basically disparaging our people, and you know how he's been doing? Why you have him up there?
Because it's Kanye. Kanye's like that cousin that's annoying and problematic, but it's still your people.
But you're like, we still family.
You still family, Kanye. But you're still family.
I go with the saying, all skin folk ain't kin folk. That's my thing. Listen, you might got the skin, but you ain't like Candace Owens. She ain't our people, or she ain't my people. I'll just say that.
They're both Black, but it's like we talked about earlier. That means something so different for everybody, and you can have such an internalized hatred. Like I talked about before, of all the scammers, of all the things in the world, of all the things you could choose to focus on. And one thing I've seen about Candace, like in every situation where there's like a Black person in the headlines, she immediately goes in for what the Black person possibly could have done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more of a reflection on her than our people. Because I don't see her taking that same energy to other races. And it's like, okay, you and Kanye, well, I'm not going to say this about Kanye because I don't think this is true about Kanye, but at least with her, it's like, what is it in you that's like, see how they're effing up, see how they're effing up, see how they're terrible, da 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 da. What is it in you that's doing that? And be like, and the white people are not so bad. I obviously don't think white people are so bad. I think all people are so bad, honestly, and they're annoying, which is why I'm an introvert. But I don't discriminate on that. But that's just human nature. Like all has sinned and fallen short of the glory. But
that's
with her, I just noticed that, and I don't even take it personal anymore because I'm like, golly, I don't know what she went through in her life that makes her feel that way. But I'm so glad I don't have that burden. And we talked about this before too. I'm like, I went to Doug, and every time a white boy shoots up the school, I'm like, Doug, does that make you feel like guilty, or do you be feeling like, oh no, not again? And he was like, no, exactly. When white people go crazy or something, white people aren't somewhere like, oh no, not our people. But then certain Black people, if a Black person does something, they're like, oh no, this reflects back on me. I let go of that burden a long time ago. No, that reflects on Kanye. That reflects on Tristan. That reflects on Nia Long's husband, Nia Lang, whoever her husband was, who was a basketball player.
The fiance.
Her fiance, her baby dad. That reflects on, I'm an individual person, just as individual as the white people who don't associate themselves with all the white boys who's shooting up schools and shooting up in Raleigh and everywhere else. And okay, Kanye's entitled to his opinion, and you can take that for what you will, but I don't think Kanye shouldn't have been up there. Whatever, Kanye. Talk your Kanye.
Evie, do you have any closing remarks on the Kanye, or you said what you said and you done saying?
I would say for everybody listening, whatever your lane is for entertainment with Kanye, if it's the outburst interviews, if it's the manic episodes, if it's the music, if it's the fashion, if it's all of the above, then just stick to that. But if you don't care about none of that stuff, then don't let it distract or deter you.
So good.
Well said. Well said. On to other peopling. I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I'm hearing my mom watches the news, and I'm hearing the people on the news going off about somebody. I'm like, who are they talking about? And to my dismay, it was about James Corden, and I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate, because James Corden on his show, I love me some carpool karaoke. He always seems so lighthearted, jovial, fun, like he would be a good time. But obviously not if you're in the restaurant business and you are a server of his, because he was reported to be very mean and nasty to a server on more than one occasion. And he just seems to not be the most lighthearted or maybe nice person that he's portrayed himself to be. I also wanted to read this tweet that I saw about James Corden before I let you guys say your piece if you have anything to say. But it was this tweet about a story about James Corden on a flight. Tales from the Cockpit is what it's titled. Half an hour into a New York to London flight, passengers in business class noticed a woman carrying a baby being brought through the curtain by a flight attendant. They looked on in mild horror as they saw the attendant direct her into an empty seat next to James Corden. Expecting a huge celebrity hissy fit, To kick off, Corden's cabinmates were impressed to see that he didn't say a word or make any sort of complaint. He simply put on a pair of noise-canceling headphones, put on an eye mask over his eyes, turned away from her to sleep. Pretty decent of him, right? When the plane landed, though, passengers were surprised to see Corden remain seated as the woman with the baby struggled to open the overhead locker, and even more surprised when she turned to Corden and said, "For F's sake, can you at least hold the baby while I get the bags down?" The woman was his wife and the baby was his. And that concludes my passage from the Twitters regarding James Corden.
Oh, James. I started side-eyeing James after an episode of either the Kardashian or Keeping Up with Kardashians. And Khloe was up there to do an interview, and she was very nervous because she has a lot of social anxiety about being in the public eye and blah, 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 blah. And he was trying to give her a pep talk, and he was like, you do realize we won. Like, look at our jobs. Like, we're having cocktails in the middle of the day. And it was the way he said it and the phrasing. Like, you can prep somebody up, but for me, it was like, ooh, there's some a little bit entitlement there. Like,
elitist.
Are you? I was like, James, not my fellow Salvationist. Coming with that kind of a spirit. And ever since then, I was like, I'm sure that sometimes if you're a superstar, you do kind of maybe you can't help but have that thought or to feel that way. But I've just always been, it's kind of like nails on a chalkboard when anyone in my life, like when I worked in a church and I saw pastors with that spirit, or just like leaders or anyone with that spirit in my own spirit, I was like, may the Lord humble you. Because no one, and I don't know if I feel this way because I grew up Black and I experienced discrimination, blah, blah, blah. I like to say I feel this way because I just have a heart as a human, but none of us are better than anybody else. We all poop the same and put our pants on the same. So I didn't love that. As far as the restaurant stories, that was kind of cringe-worthy. The one about the cockpit, I do wonder if it's true because we can't believe everything on the internet. At first, when I thought it was a stranger, I thought the lady with the baby was entitled because I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know your baby. And the people telling the story, how come they didn't help? If they were so interested, if she was in so much turmoil. But then what Sharika said, it was his wife. As somebody who's been married now, through the game, sometimes you just be having those moments. And sometimes things are going on between you and the spouse that the public doesn't know, nor do they need to know. You know what? We're in this together for life. We're committed, but some days we might have an attitude with one another. And it could have just been, we don't know. We don't know what went on behind us.
I don't care how much of an attitude I'm in.
I know your
gonna
spirit,
get the full
Sharika.
storm.
I know
you
your
get the full
spirit,
storm. You
Sharika,
better grab this baby, grab this bag.
We did the conversation about the one scammer, and Sharika was so mad at the lawyer dad who didn't involve himself until they started doing life threats on his wife. But I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what are the reasons why he's just doing his own thing and kind of like distancing himself from his wife. Could be they had a little spat and he's like, she got it. We don't know. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I could understand how sometimes in the public it looks like one thing, but between the two people involved, we know what it is. And it's not like she just went off and struggled. She said, excuse me, which is something I would have done. And clearly Sharika would have done too. I'd been like, really, Doug? And I wouldn't have even asked. I would have simply put the baby on his lap and moved on with my life.
Okay.
And that's all I have to say about it. I'm sure
I probably would have got up with the baby and walked down the aisle and be like, make sure you grab our bags.
That too. There are many options. So that's how I feel about the Corden. I'm sure he's apologetic and blah, blah, blah. But how do you and EB feel?
I feel as though I'm with you. I don't like when people try to treat people a certain type of way because of whatever job they may have or their status and whatever their thoughts. I hate that. And I don't remember the moment or what it was that I saw, but when I was talking to my mom and I said, you know what? Something about this does not surprise me about James Corden. I can't put my finger on it, but I can see him like going off. And it could have been like him acting in a skit and then it being like he's supposed to pretend to be angry, and then but it was really supposed to be a joke. But all of it, something about it felt too real for me, and I don't know what it was, but I just feel like I could see him doing something like that. And so I told my mom I wasn't surprised. And she was like, "Oh, I like him." I thought I didn't, I'm a little surprised. I said, I was not. Something about it seemed like it would ring true to me. And like I said, if the plane scenario is true, I would be, I don't care how much of a fight we in, this your baby, and I'm your wife. You better do something helpful to this situation and circumstances. And you lucky I didn't take your noise canceling headphones and throw them down the aisle. But anyway,
see now, Sharika, you're choosing violence. And I used to talk to young people about this, and even myself, and I talk to my husband about this every so now and then. When you are giving it a reaction, especially in the midst of conflict, you got to ask yourself, is this leading to resolution or is it leading to more conflict? At that point, you don't care to resolve things because now it's tit for tat.
I would say I choose violence in my talking reaction, but in my real life, I don't be choosing the violence. Y'all know I'd be like, it be in the talks. That's the energy I feel. But am I really gonna do that? No, I'm very much more calculated in what I actually do versus what I say. But the energy be there based on the circumstances of the situation. Evie, any thoughts?
Part of it, I would love to know if that was actually his wife. That's simple and true. And if that is, then of course he's trash, because whatever disagreement or beef you got, you adapt and adjust, and you try to keep those things private and not in a public eye as best as possible. Unless she hit you with the "I don't need your help, I don't want your help, leave me alone" for the rest of the day. And that's probably why he turned to the side, put his privacy eye mask on, eyewear on, put the noise canceling headphones, and was like, "Okay, I got you." And then she got mad when he really did it, and then it's like, "No, I wasn't serious. You better help me with this baby, or you better grab this stuff, or whatever." That's if all of that is true. That's what could have or should have played out. But then again, not my business, not my relationship. Now, the other stuff, as far as the restaurant, I don't know all the details, and I wasn't in the room, so I don't know the tone, the pitch. I haven't seen a video of his, what seems to be an outlandish or an outburst, so to speak. But some people, they get frustrated when people mess with their food. So if you bring me the wrong food out, not me specifically, but I know people who will snap. If I got hair in my food when you bring it out, I know people who will snap. Now, in my mind, if it was a one-time thing and he snapped, I'm like, oh, like you're better than that. Not only because you're a celebrity, you're a public figure, all that good stuff, but you're a human being, and people make mistakes. Provide some form of human decency and be kind. But if it's like, time 3, 4, 5 at this same restaurant that he always frequents, and it's like I told y'all about this before, like every time I come here, I know that on the order that I order, it says XYZ, but I always switch it to this. Like it's the same order as yesterday, and then you bring it out. Then like I might feel like you're not listening to me and you're not respecting me. Now, granted, I do have a little love for James. For James, he grew up, from what I understand, in I want to say Australia, as a Salvationist. So like attended basically the same church or part of our international movement, so to speak. So it's like we kind of got like a bond, and I don't know if he actually wore the uniform, but from what I understand, he wore the uniform, played in the brass band, so all that good stuff. So it's like a bond there. But if this was a one-time event, deuces to him. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. I know he already apologized, and then the owner said that he's welcome to come back to the restaurant, because likely, not only because the owner is a good guy, but probably also a good spender and a good tipper for his establishment. And that just helps when you got celebrities coming to your establishment. That naturally helps influence in business and customer flow, so to speak. But I wish all parties the best. I wish he get better on self-control and knowing how to communicate to people, no matter his stature or position or where he's at in life. And I also hope that people know to do your job and do your job well. Don't be having hair in people's food.
Yes. So the first incident, yes, there was. This was at another restaurant. There was hair in the food, and then on the other restaurant, his wife ordered a egg white something, and there was a little bit of the egg yolk in there. So they sent it back, and when it came back, instead of having the side salad, it came with home fries, and she had the side salad. So that was the why there was he got upset and outraged. So those were the dealings of the meal issues.
Not outrage. I will say for myself, this isn't the best approach, but I tend to match energies. So if I'm in a public place like that, I'm always going to start treating myself, which is going to be kind and respectful. If I'm like, hey, there's a food, hey, there's a hair in the food, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, hey, no worries, and then I just,
Mm-hmm.
we deal with it. But if I'm like, hey, there's hair in the food, and they're like, okay, maybe it's yours, da 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 da. So now we have a problem. And this is the thing that we're not hearing in the story. We don't know what energy he was given that
No, they
made him
were. They
respond.
said it was they were very apologetic and they wanted to fix it and all that. They in both situations the server was very apologetic, and the one said that the server was shaken, but they carried out their duties. They carried professionally.
See, that's why I couldn't be a server or a waiter, because I am a matcher of energies. And that's why, like, it's not that I'm a chameleon or fake, but some people will be like, oh my gosh, Sabrina is so nice. Like, the people I work with now, they're like, do you ever have a bad day? You're always in a good mood, da da da. And my old coworkers might describe me as a bitch. So it just really depends. But what are you giving? And that's what you might be
What you
receiving.
get. I don't play with people with my food. I'm giving all the nice energy. You know what? There was a mistake. I'm so sorry. Do you think you could handle? Because you got my food in your hands, and I rather err on the side of I'll write a bad review if it's really that serious after I'm gone, but or give a cheap tip, which I probably wouldn't even do that. I probably would have been like, oh well, it was probably a bad day or whatever. Unless it was something really egregious, I probably wouldn't do too much. I tried to calm down because my husband was like, girl, you be a little too much extra. And I am one of those people who have a complicated order. So I be trying to be gracious because I be coming with a complicated order.
Rika said, you're not spitting in my food.
Not, I just want to tell you this quick story, friend, and I just want to know how you will respond. So this golfer joined a tournament at a country club, and they, were promoting the tournament and said you could win this Ford pickup truck if you get a hole in one on the 10th hole. So lo and behold, this golfer gets a hole in one on the 10th hole. And he thinks he is going to, be able to receive his Ford pickup truck. And they don't give him the truck. They were like, "Oh, the car is just for advertisement. It's not to be won." And so the guy decided he was going to file suit because he's like, you guys promised a winner for this truck if you got the 10th hole. I did, and I want my truck. Or I'm going to, so he's suing the golf club, of a country club, and the Ford dealership because and once he filed the Ford dealership, like they had made posts and they were promoting it, they had liked the post, so obviously they were well aware that they were saying that you could win this truck and that it would be from their dealership. So they liked the post, boy. When he filed his suit, they then took their little like off, and then there was video employee from the club calling the Ford dealership after the guy had won, and then the person, it was heard on the phone call that the person was like, oh no, don't tell me, somebody it actually happened. And then the person from the country club was like, yeah, unfortunately it did. So they both were well aware that people were expecting that there would be a possibility to win this truck. And now that this man has won the truck, they don't want to give him the truck, and they want to act like it was all like, oh, the car was just here for promotion. It really wasn't for a winner. What would you be doing, friend?
Absolutely taking them to court. I don't think that's a small claim, because in Florida, small claims, I believe, are anything less than $8,000. Shout out again to Chandler Booble. The cops called me this morning. That police report is going right on through. So I hope you're enjoying that 1350. Whoops. Sorry, Doug told me not to share the amount. I'll take that out. But, I hope you are living the life of Raleigh while you can. I feel bad. Do I feel bad? Yes, because the prison system really sucks. And people who make these choices, it's very rare that they make them because they want to go get a new convertible. In those cases, a lot of times they're desperate. They have a new baby or something, and they need the money. But I don't care. Still file the report. In this case, I certainly would, because how dare you? You said this was going to be the prize and it happened. And so now you need to be held accountable. And that's just that. Words mean things. And you can't be putting stuff out there and then doing takebacks. Like, I mean, actually, you can, but do people not have integrity? And this is what I was saying earlier. People just annoy me because they really don't. You know what I'm saying? This
Mm.
reminds me, I had a doctor's appointment on the 10th. They canceled. They said they had a mishap with the scheduling of time. Then they moved it to the 17th. 2 hours before, they canceled again, said the doctor had a family emergency. Then they called me and told me I could come in at 10:30 to see the nurse practitioner. I'm there at 10:13, wait for 40 minutes. They have me go in the back, do the, the little customary pee in the cup. Then 5 minutes after that, they tell me the provider is refusing to see me. Words mean things. You can't just be jerking people around and then be surprised when they want to bring out the energy or the court system on you or etc. Like, that's ridiculous. I hope he gets more than the truck. I hope he gets enough money for 4 trucks and a membership to the golf community. And then I hope he never comes. I just want him to get it. Take it all. What do you think, friend? Were they right or were they wrong?
They were trash. How dare you? And they have all these Facebook posts, and then the join. I've never joined a golf tournament, but it's not like $15 to join the tournament. The prices be high because you're supposed to be able to win. A lot of times it's for charity, but that's usually when maybe if the prize is a donated prize or something, but it's usually very expensive to join these tournaments and stuff because it's supposed to be a great fundraiser or something. So heck yeah, that man probably paid some good money to get up in the tournament, and he should get his $53,000 truck. I'm all for it, and he should sue them because people should not be out here lying and doing that kind of stuff. Next time you want to hold a charity and you can't afford to get rid of your truck at J. Hodge Ford, then you don't need to offer up your truck as prize then.
Yeah, that's straight up lying. I'm pretty sure that's against the law in some cases with businesses, right?
It is, but I didn't know this because as I was reading the article, it was saying that like this could have been preventable with an insurance policy. So there's insurance policies that places can get when they have these high deals and stuff like that. And for whatever reason, if it falls through, there's an insurance policy that they can pay to cover the business or the organization in the event that somebody does win whatever. And I'm reading what it says. It says whatever ridiculous contest they've set up. While the insurance probably seemed like an unnecessary expense up front, it certainly would have cheapened whatever legal demise they're about to face.
Why even offer that? I've been a part of a plethora of charity events and we make sure we got the prizes in the bag. I just can't imagine being like, hey.
Because they thought it was like people really wouldn't be able to do it. Maybe they thought the hole was really a big, it would be very difficult for someone to win a hole in one on this specific hole. So they made it they thought, I guess it would be extremely unlikely for it to happen. So we get your money because you think you can actually do it and we know you can't. So we get you to give and donate all this money to get involved, and because we know you won't be able to do it. So we get the money, but don't intend on being able or having to honor our word.
I don't know. I think my word just means too much to me to even take that risk. If I'm going to say I'm going to do something or whatever, I'm not going to bank on like, oh, might not, or at least I'm going to own it. If the person wins, be like, hey, we didn't think this is a real thing. We were just saying that. We don't have the funds. What else can we do? And I would have to say that publicly because, I mean, here's the thing. You either have to stand by your original word or own your lie, your mistake. You have to just own it. That's so annoying. I hope he wins. EB, are you back with us? Do you have any opinions on this?
Yes, I would say as best as possible. Anytime you're doing anything like this, try to get it in right in, because there is a lot of finesses, scammers, swindlers in this world who will do anything and everything to take advantage of people. It just sucks that stuff like this still happens, and not all the time, but a decent amount of times. There's typically no, I guess you could say, no punishment for people to do this, and usually no reimbursement for a person who, hey, I'll, like kind of like a raffle type of thing. I'll put my $5 in, and then I finally win, and it's like, oh, actually nobody won. I'm sorry, it wasn't a thing. And like I've seen similar stuff. Like I think of one of the football games. It's like the person who kicks this, you get if you kick it, like a college football game. I remember watching something similar. But it's like you kick this field goal in from X amount of yards, like the 30-yard line, 40-yard line, then you get a $25,000 scholarship. Boom, it happens. A kid ends up making it, or it was like the first one, and then you just go in line. A person ends up hitting it, and then after he hit it, of course, a week or two later, it comes out, oh, the contest was only for current students only. And then, so then he tried to finesse the system in the same way of like, oh, let me hear it been applied. Then of course they hit him with the, oh yeah, we'll just take it out of your tuition. Like, and it's like, well, we'll add it to that tuition. It's like, no, like I need this bread. Like I can pay my own tuition. Give me the 25,000. I'll tell you what to do with it. Like, and it's one of those things where like the same thing happened at a college basketball. Somebody hit a shot from half court, and because the person wasn't a student, they weren't eligible to get like the $10,000 or whatever. It's like, what? Like you didn't? That wasn't one of the stipulations that was announced on the PA system of like this contest is for current students only. Like it was none of that. It was this fake contract that was written up after somebody actually did it. And I think you hit it on the head, Sharika, when you said like just companies or businesses or groups or whatever civic organization, they don't expect people to get it because of the task or the difficulty, or these aren't my basketball players, or these aren't my soccer players, or these aren't my football players who kick field goals all the time or shoot all the time. These are just random fans in the stands who are just going to grab 10 of them and be like, let's hope for the best because it's going to be 0 for 10 anyways. And then when somebody does do it, it's like, oh, we wasn't expecting to make this loss. Like, how do we work this out? How do we fix this? And then they come up with some crazy scenario. And it's just crazy that we, and I'm saying we because I live in this raggedy behind country, allow things like this on this broken judicial system where people just continue to get manipulated and taken advantage of.
And I'm like, for those people, like, if that was the stipulation, then why did you let this person participate in the contest if you knew they weren't eligible to win? Then you should have been like, hey, are you a current student? No. Well, unfortunately, you can't participate because the winner can only be a current student. But they be knowing what they're doing. That's just terrible. Those are our hot topics for today. Thank you guys for playing along. It's always a good time to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions.
Those were good. Thank you, Sharika. For our quote today, I just want to talk about progress, and I'm still in that lovely book that my husband gave me. Remember this, Thoughts for Everyday Inspiration. Today's thought is slow and quiet progress is progress too. Remember to give yourself credit. You know, I'm going to take it back to what EB often reminds us of throughout the year. We're in the last, quarter, the last third of the year. And I'm wondering, how are those New Year's resolutions going? Do you remember what yours were? Have you given up? Have you given up all hope? Remember, slow and quiet progress is progress too. It's not too late to fulfill those New Year's resolutions. Give yourself credit for the progress that you've made and go ahead and take another step in the right direction today. EB, what are you expounding on?
Wait, before EB goes, I did put on my thing because we haven't done it. Do we have a health update? Because we all said we're going to try to be healthy. I'll just say mine is not great. Mine is trash. I'm terrible again. That's where I am.
Sharika, slow and quiet progress is progress right, too, friend. And I have been getting the notifications on my phone. I've always had an Apple phone, but I've been a Fitbit user. But because my new Fit Club buddy at work is Apple, and my work has this really cool program with Apple Watches and insurance, blah, 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 blah. So now I'm switching to the Apple Watch. It should be here in 4 days or less. And I get notifications and it'll be like, Sharika closed out her circles today. Sharika just took a great walk. So Sharika, I've been getting those. So you haven't been completely off the rocker with the health stuff.
Thank you, friend.
You're welcome. I've been doing pretty good. I've been in the dance studio and etc. So I'm feeling pretty good about my little health metrics and goal. It does help that I have a fit buddy. But for me, the challenge usually isn't being active, is more so drinking the amount of water I'm supposed to drink. Not because I drink other things, it's simply because I've never been much of a drinker, period. When I do drink, it is water, but I can honestly live off of half a cup of water in 2 days. I just don't drink that much, and it's terrible. So that's what I'm really working on. And I've gotten better. I think yesterday I drank a cup and a half, and today I'm still in my first cup, but I'm hoping to drink at least 4 because I have this cup in my house. If I drink 4 of them, then it's my recommended daily dose. I only take my big jug out when I'm somewhere else and I can't like choose the type of water I'm drinking. I'll fill it before I leave the house. But that's how I'm doing. EB, how are you doing with your weight loss journey?
It's going. Of course, I have started around the 225 area. I'm down to 218. Still trying to shoot down to 200, preferably 190, but 200 is the first. Well, I would say right now the first big step is under 210. Because quiet, slow, and steady. Yeah, under 220. Because after a while, it's like, dang, like I can't even break 220. But being at 218, I saw drops of 216, 217. Been up to 219, went back up to like 222, but now it's at 218 as of this morning. Before leaving the house. So hopefully I don't go too crazy with our crazy menu for this weekend, and I try to save myself by, not indulging in all the good things that we have. But yeah, just hoping to get to 210.
Good
And
job.
if I can get there by the end of the year, that would be ideal. So 3
You
months
did
to get
great.
to number 2. So,
I absolutely love it. There's almost nothing that I miss about my old work community, but I do miss the snacks because it was always giving. These events, they really know how to feed people over there, and I love it. And now I'm feeding myself at home every day, and I'm like, oh, I do miss the snacks and things. So you can do it, EB. You can do it.
You're doing great.
Definitely. Life is crazy, guys. And sometimes sometimes naturally you just try to figure out what's next or what's the best. For me currently, one of the toughest things is to watch, because I know most people don't see this type of stuff because most people don't care. So, let me take it back. I lied because I don't know what people care about. Most people don't see this stuff because mainstream media don't publicize this stuff. Let me say that. That's probably the best way to say it. But the country that I live in is currently dealing with an operation to invade the country that I love. And just to give people a little more context, Haiti is in shambles. And Haiti has kind of always been in shambles, even after being the first Black republic to fight itself away from slaveholders of Spain and Spain and France. And it's just been a challenge ever since. Like, if you want to do a quick deep dive of Haiti history, you could just look at the first 3 or 4 leaders assassinating one another to just get that power and that greed and that control of an island. You can see chaos and destruction on the border with them and Dominican Republic, where just a week or 2 ago, from the time of this recording at least, where Dominican military invaded parts of Haiti to just try to create what some would consider order. Some people is calling what's currently happening, that's led by a lovely Biden administration and other world powers, as an intervention to the chaos in Haiti. Now, others like myself, I call it an invasion because every time America has intervened in Haiti politics, it has caused more chaos, more confusion, and more destruction to not only our politics, but of course, more importantly, to our people. And it's just frustrating to see where a country can just naturally invade whoever they want, and people will just continue to say it's the greatest country in the world, even though many of those people have never lived anywhere else. And I'm not going to say it's not the greatest, and I'm not going to say it is the greatest. I'm just saying I don't know, and their actions don't necessarily show me that they're the greatest, because the history of their track record and my specific, I would say, my knowledge and my limited research, from slavery to Jim Crow to mass incarceration to the war on drugs to the war on education to our lovely economic situation to the lack of supporting people who literally have to figure it out, to no control over high inflation or the housing market or food costs or gas, and we can go on and on. I don't see where the greatness lies in the things that matter most to the people. So currently, Haiti is just dealing with a lot. And for those of you who are, I guess I'll say, I won't even say interested, if you're just somebody who loves to learn new things and you just want to see more information, I would encourage you to just do some form of history lesson on just the current chaos and division and civil unrest that is currently happening in Haiti. And I think it'll be something great for you to talk about with your peers, or for those of you who have friends who are of Haitian descent, it'll be a great conversation to have with them, because just about at least every Haitian I know still have family on the island. So that is what I'm expounding on today. That's all I got for you.
Really sad to hear that, EB. I had no clue that was going on, and I feel embarrassed because I like to think of myself as somebody who has a pulse on what's happening in the world, but certainly on Haiti, because it's also a place that I love. It's amazing, not amazing, amazing is the wrong word. I am curious too about how we can just be like, oh, well, we're going in. It's like, can we go into our schools and stuff? We did go in on Donald Trump finally, and I'm just thankful for that. But how are we just able to do that? And I know this isn't the only place we've done that, but it's just, I'm with you, EB. It's like, it's frustrating.
Definitely. And I get it, because, when you're the world power and everybody looks to you, and there's other little things, and that would be one of the reasons I tell people to do a deep dive in just knowing, having family there, having a brother and sister still there, having, let me see, 11 or 12 nieces and nephews, 3 great nieces, 2 great nephews still on the island. Like, you hear a little more things. Like, if you were to travel to Haiti right now, like, depending on who the person is, you might not know specifically where you're at, because you go there and there's a multitude of Polish people, because there's a lot of Polish who live in Haiti. There's a mass amount of people of, I guess I'll say, of Asian descent, mainly Chinese, where they are monopolizing all of the Caribbean, from Bahamas to Jamaica to Cayman to Antigua to Barbados to like wherever Haiti, Dominican Republic, like where the Chinese is just spreading out far and wide. And for America, from stuff that you either read or see, like, America finds ways to intervene when other people, and I'm not saying, I don't know what China lineage or what their history got going on, but when I talk to my people, they enjoy it because they see stuff getting built, they see schools being for free, they see hospitals functioning, and then America comes through because they feel threatened by having what some would consider their ally-sized / rivals in close proximity to their mainland. And that's one of the things that I know America is always nervous about when they start seeing certain things. And it's like, well, you're not helping. Like, allow another fellow human being on this earth to help out a place that they see in despair or in dire need. You just have, maybe a couple years ago, finally got the stamp of approval from the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank to say that Haiti no longer no longer owes France. And you're talking about, like, just imagine this, guys. Like, somebody enslaves you, you fight for your freedom, and the entire world says you have to pay them back X amount for this amount of years. And this is 1804 up until not too long ago, like 2015, 2016, where Haiti finally got their stamp of approval saying, all right, we're finally done. And it's like, I got to pay for my freedom. Like, huh? Like, I'm paying reparations to you when you enslaved me and I just fought for my freedom? Like, that is just wild. And the rest of the world just sat back, of course, naturally, and just watched the destruction. And then other days, it's just funny to see how America continues to invade all different parts of the world. And it's just like Sabrina just said, like, go into one of your schools, go into your communities. Like, why do we still have so many homeless people? Why do we still have veterans who don't have basic rights to healthcare? Now, I know some of them do, and they don't take advantage of it. Just knowing my wife, who used to work as a case manager for veterans, some of them have more benefits that a person can count. But it's a lot of them who don't. Or how do we educate them on those who do, who don't know they do? Like, who's tapping into it. Like, so it's those type of things that I'm just like, it's so much that can be done. And I'm not the one to say, hey, take care of home before you take care of overseas. But it's like, it's better to take care of something than to cause destruction somewhere else. I'll say that. And most times they're just causing destruction in other places and not taking care of home. So yeah, that's what I got. If there's any closing
Yeah.
thoughts for you guys, we can dive into that, or we can hit our recommends.
It is just sad to see, and then sometimes, and then just the helplessness of it. Like, what, you're like, how can I help? What can I do? How can we make these changes? As like regular citizens, you just feel like, you know, you wish that there was like something how you could intervene.
Yeah.
Um, oh, my recommend. It's something that I have not watched yet, but I'm curating a Halloween playlist, and y'all know I don't really do the scaries and the real crazy, but this is rated PG-13, so I feel like I should be able to handle it. It's gonna be on Netflix, so the weekend before Halloween, so we got about a week and a half. I'm gonna try to do some little fun, little, light, scary, or little Halloween-esque movies. So this one that I put on my list is The School for Good and Evil. It's on Netflix with Kerry Washington and Charlize Theron, and Lawrence Fishburne is in it. And so it looks really cute. So I'm gonna check that out, and maybe you want to check it out if you haven't already. If you're into the Halloween thingies, y'all know I'm not with the devil, but I'm into just a little, the fun of the Halloween.
Thank you for clarifying you're not with the devil friend. I also
Because
have
some people be like, "How dare you?"
No, it's true. I have this. I'm gonna, for that very reason, I'm gonna say I have a seasonal recommendation, and it
Okay.
is on the Disney Plus vibe. It's Twitches with Tia and Tier Mari. Yes, I love a good throwback, especially seasonal things. I am in my full seasonal mood. So all the playlists, the pumpkins, the movies, and then I'll start watching the Hallmark Thanksgiving movies. And don't even get me started on the C word. I don't believe in starting it early, but I do get very excited. So I tuned in to Twitches 1 and it was so good. And now I'm on Twitches 2. It's an original Disney Channel movie, but it's actually based on a book series published by the Scholastic Press. I don't know if y'all remember the Scholastic book fairs as kids. Those were very much lit. And it's about two sisters who were separated at birth, but they reunite on their 21st birthday and they find out they have magical powers. And it is everything. It's family friendly and it's just feel good. So check out Twitches on Disney Plus. Evie, what you got?
Sharika, what was the movie you said?
The School for Good and Evil.
The School for Good and Evil. So I was just making sure. I did see people talking about it on Twitter. And
is it scary?
I did not hear that.
Okay.
I heard it was like it was a few different people of, and you like everybody's good is different and it's subjective. But when you see people from different crowds agreeing to something, you're like, oh, I might have to check that out. So watching, and I said, I can talk to y'all about it, or I say y'all, I'm saying Sharika and Sabrina, and of course our podcast listeners. When I can think of my homies from the streets of Polk County and Inwood talking about it, and I see my white college friends talk about it, it's like there's no cross section in their life experiences that I know of. Not saying it's impossible, because it could be, but there's none that I know of with the lifestyle that either of these individuals live. And there was a few of them, because you see like the people comment on it after. But I would say, I was like, dang, I might have to find time to watch it sometime next week, because I can't do it this weekend. But yeah, a movie that I have for you guys, which is also on a streaming platform, and it's on the lovely Netflix. I have not watched it, but I see it trending on the lovely Netflix as a top 5 or a top 10, whatever it is. But it is The Curse of Bridge Hollow. The Curse of Bridge Hollow, where it talks about welcome to quaint Bridge Hollow, where the streets are safe, the air smells like apples, and the town's spooky Halloween decorations have come to life. Now, just by that definition, I'm just assuming that somebody got a mummy in their front yard, and then that mummy comes to life, and then a pumpkin also decorated is here running people ragged. I don't know. But that description, I'm like, oh, the air smell like apples. Like, like I'm sitting here thinking right now, like, that might be a nice little candle for just a gift for somebody, a just because gift. Like a candle that smells like apples. Now, I like, but I've never had a candle that was the smell of apples, so I'm like, what would that actually smell like? Like, I know what apples taste like, and I like my fruit and most vegetables, but I'm like, what would that smell like? A candle-scented apple. And so, yeah, so that's what I got for you guys this week.
I did see the previews for that EB, and it has Kelly Rowland and Marlon Wayans. I did see that.
Oh,
And it
I
does
saw
look
the
like
preview.
Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
yes. I'm definitely tuning in.
And that's all I got.
Same.
All right. As always, remember, don't seek Kanye West for political or life advice because he's still trying to figure out his own life. Treat
Fair.
people with respect when you're
Mhm.
at a restaurant or at a place of business. When you're at home, when you're anywhere, just treat people with respect and human decency. Like, it's not, let me tell you that. I don't think it's that hard because I don't know where people's levels of self-control is at. Also, for those of you who love swindling people, like when you have a contest, make sure you got the contact, you got the prize on deck ready to hand out. Like if it's a vehicle, make sure you got the keys with the title just sitting right there. If it's money, make sure you got the cash already in the envelope right there. If it's a gift card, have them already laid out with somebody, person A, or winner of this prize or winner of that prize. Like, cause yeah, like stop playing with people. A lot of times people won't engage in some of the foolishness you have if there was no prize to be attached. It's like going to somebody's party and they tell you, hey, I'm having a party, but we're not going to have any food. It's going to be some people who don't show up just because of that. So they're like, well, I don't really want to talk to you, so I'm not coming to hang out. Because, you know, you have people who do that, be like, eat before you come. Okay, I guess I'm not coming. Not me, but that's what some people do. And so just make sure y'all do that. And as we get ready to, you know, continue this fourth quarter of the year, if there's goals that you haven't accomplished yet, maybe you got a friend who you're supposed to be holding you accountable and they dropped the ball as we get ready to dive into month 11 and we close out month 10 of this year. And find a new one to close out the year or call them out on not holding you accountable, so to speak. Just like, hey, I thought you said you had me. Like, I thought we were going to be working out together. I thought we were going to be saving money together. I thought we wasn't going to be eating out as often. You know, let me go ahead and disconnect my card from my Uber Eats or from my DoorDash or Postmates or whatever you have. You know, let me take off or delete the Starbucks app where I'm not just ordering stuff all willy-nilly because I know some people be making financial goals for the year. So that's some of the lovely advice that we got from your lovely Kickback family. And as of right now, this is our Christmas gift to you guys, these words of wisdom. And if life ever tries to knock you down, make sure you kick back.